Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Irreplaceable Man podcast. I'm your host, Ian Lobas, sitting with my, what do I say every week? Incredible, beautiful, amazing.
Yeah. A lot of
Sitting with my amazing partner. Does that minimize it too much? We're partners in life.
I don't think it minimizes it because we don't talk about marriage as partnership. We just talk about it as husband and wife. And I think that there's like a level at which you have to approach marriage as a partnership.
Yeah.
Versus like
the marriage.
Yeah.
Agreed. That's a good thing to note for those of you watching inside the group and in just listening on the podcast. There's a difference between partnership and marriage. A partnership creates a marriage, and you don't need a marriage to be a great partnership. Because if you think about it, divorced couples who still get along really well and go on vacation together and co-parent really amazingly, they're not married yet they have a great partnership. The partnership creates the marriage, in our opinion.
Well, does it create the marriage, or does it creates a foundation for the marriage to thrive?
That it's that. So guys, real quick before we get rolling, couple of housekeeping pieces. There's so many of you that have been booking calls with me, strategy calls. They're free, complimentary, just from being a part of this group or downloading our 12-step guide to becoming an irreplaceable husband. If you don't have that yet, it's free. Just write a comment here, say, I need the 12-step guide. We'll send it over to you. If you need help, if you're struggling with something, if you just need some support and some course correction, some guidance on what moves to make next, if you just need an ear, just someone to talk to, just know that you're not alone. Book that strategy call with me anytime. There's like 25 open spots on my calendar. I'll drop that inside the group. I'll drop the link to book a strategy call with me. So do that anytime. Now, quick announcement, starting this week, we're going to be doing live training inside of the Irreplaceable Man community. Those trainings will be an hour. They're going to be at 5 p.m. PST, 8 p.m. Eastern time, where we will absolutely dig into more of the practical and tactical stuff that we talk about on the podcast. There's a 12-week curriculum that I built out. We're going to be breaking down trust, connection, and communication into those 12 weeks. So 4 weeks on each topic. Each week, we're going to be deep diving into these topics, figuring out things that you don't know, strengthening things that you do know, strengthening things that you've already been working on. We're going to do Q&As. We're going to meet other guys in there. We're going to be supporting each other, hanging out, and just forming this network of other dudes going through the same shit that you are and having fun doing it, learning and growing, coming back each week and saying, man, that worked or that didn't work, and helping you course correct very quickly. So look out for the event. I'll copy everybody in it. Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, starting this week. This week is April 10th. So if you're listening on the podcast, just join us on Thursdays. That's it for right now. So 6 types of trust. Did you know there were 6 types of trust?
I didn't.
What did you think they were?
What did I think they were? I don't know, honestly. I don't think I
like physical.
Yeah, like I think physical, emotional, but beyond that,
yeah,
I didn't think that you could categorize trust in.
I didn't either. I started thinking about it a while ago in these failures that I was experiencing with you and in my life in general. Like, there has to be another thing at play here in terms of trust, because there's not trust present yet. Physical and emotional, or physical and communication trust is there. Why is there still this gap? And so I started researching it and digging into it. And I've never really worked with these before. I was thinking about what could we start training on that guys really need to help with that isn't our actual curriculum, yet this would be really valuable. What can we start talking about on the podcast? And I thought, man, what about those 6 areas of trust that I've been studying for a long time? I've really just only brought them up in our one-on-one private coaching or like in our mastermind. a few times. I've really never brought them up as a group. And so today we're going to talk about 6 different types of trust that you've got to pay attention to, because if you want the connection, if you want the clear communication, if you want the reignition, if you want the sex and the intimacy and the spark and all that stuff, here are areas that may be hindering that for you. And you might not even know what your spouse is actually thinking about, which is this one. And you're thinking, well, I'm good on this one. And there's a complete disconnect.
Right.
And now you're wondering why you don't have this result. So these 6 types of trust are going to be our formula to get the results that we want. And from there, we can start working on, oh, well, that was revealed and I have to work on that. And that was revealed, I have to work on that. And that was illuminated. I'm going to start paying attention to that. So what are the 6 types of trust? I'm going to start off with the one that most people think, which is physical trust, right? Physical trust is pretty self-explanatory.
Why don't you explain it?
Does your partner trust you physically? Is she or he feeling safe with you in a physical manner? When I talk to guys about this, they'll say, and I want to dig into these with you.
Yeah.
So there are, I think, some different areas of the physical piece. Like, am I safe with this guy? Am I, I'm talking from your spouse's point of view. Am I safe with this person? Am I safe at night? Can they protect the family? Are they gonna hurt me physically? Are they gonna put me in harm's way? Are they dangerous? Like, do they take me skydiving and bungee jumping and where there's a physical trust piece that's completely not present, and it's affecting, right? It's a catalyst to so many other things. It's affecting so many other things in the relationship. That's what I think about when I think about physical trust, that I trust, and it's two-way street, by the way. You trust that I can protect you or keep you physically safe, or that you're safe in my presence, and vice versa. That, like, guys, this is not one-sided just from your wife to you. This is from you to her or him as well, which is, can I trust that she's not going to, punch me when we get in an argument? Can I trust that she's not going to knife me in the middle of the night? I mean, weirder shit's happening. Remember the crazy Bobbitt trial from the 90s? Like, there was no physical trust present. And yes, there were all kinds of other things at play and going on. However, there was a physical trust aspect that was obviously broken that night. So what are your thoughts on physical trust? Is it that stuff? Or do you have anything like deeper?
No, physical, I think it is truly physical.
Yeah. Like, it's a safety thing.
It's a safety. Yeah. Like, am I safe in the presence of this person?
So let me ask you something, because there's guys listening that see these comments. There's usually happens when I put a comment in. There's guys that'll say, or that are like who I used to be, where I would get very angry or upset or like frustrated and like raging. Like, was there a physical trust component? Because we can talk about so many different aspects of trust. Like, did you ever have did I ever break that trust? Even though, like, there was never a safety or component, did I ever break the physical trust barrier? Just in my behavior and activity, and like, if I, slam something down on the counter, or if I threw something, my bag at the wall or something, like when I was just a child, taking my aggression out. Did that ever affect you?
I mean, yeah, it affected me emotionally, not physically.
Talk more about that.
Like, you weren't ever lashing out at me physically, but you showing, you throwing things, that definitely affected me. Emotionally.
How did that then show up in you or for you to me or into the relationship?
The walking on eggshells, so you didn't get mad.
Guys, if
That
you're facing the more immature route when it comes to expressing your emotions and feelings, and it comes out in a rage or anger or loud or, throwing things or slamming car doors or whatever, like, your point of view is very valid, because I wasn't aware of those things because I was only really focused on, like, fighting.
Yeah. And I mean, it was like when I remember one specific incident that you just were set off by something else, and your physical reaction was not directed at me or anyone. It happened away from everyone, but what I had to clean up afterwards.
What was that?
Do you want me to tell everyone? It was just like the immaturity level of like that kind of reaction, that it's like, then you left me to clean it up, both emotionally
I
and
know exactly.
like
And
actively
physically,
cleaning.
yeah, I know exactly what it was. The blueberry smoothie.
Yes.
Yep.
And then our contractor walking into our house going, the wall's blue.
Yeah.
And
Not by paint. I do remember that. I was, guys, I'll share with you what I was experiencing then. I was feeling so trapped and so much resistance in me, in that my intelligence level could figure so many things out. It just couldn't figure out that part. How to break free from this. Really, the break free was my ego and my, like, inauthentic egoed self and my authentic irreplaceable self were fighting. And the anger was coming out because I could not figure out how to get the one to go away, and it was really bothering me, and I was scared, and I didn't know how to articulate it properly. And we were in a new environment at a new house. And I also saw that from my parents as model, and that's just the natural, like, reaction that I had to fear. Was it came out in anger, and I expressed it the way I knew how to, which was like, all it was is a big cry for help. That's what every angry guy's bullshit is about, is a cry for help, for someone to sit down, and which you've been great about, and like, hey, whoa, hang on, what's going on here? Like, do you need something? Can I help you with something? How are you feeling about this? And so that's awesome. I know a lot of guys that I talk to, their wives are really scared of them, or really doubtful that they're like, maybe it's not so much the physical trust, maybe it's the next one. However, their wives aren't even approaching them when they're in that mode, because maybe their wives have trauma from their
I mean,
childhood
it
around
definitely,
it.
it's not something that you instinctually go to. Your instinct is not to be like, okay, what's happening here? What are your emotions? What are you feeling? What's coming
It's
up
to
for you?
run.
It's to be like, oh shit, he's pissed off.
Yeah.
And this is like, let me go somewhere else, leave him alone and let him cool off. And then it never gets talked about in that way. So it takes a lot of I don't want to say courage. I
Yeah,
guess
no, it does.
it takes courage and understanding too,
Yeah.
to be able to go to, and you also have to, it took us a long time to get to that point, because you also had to be willing to receive that and be willing to talk about it, because a lot of people get pissed off and then just don't ever talk about it again.
Yeah. Well, they don't want to get back into the hornet's nest. They don't want
Right.
that shit to come up. Maybe it scared them or something. So that's what I think about when it comes to physical trust. And that's what I think about. Let's move on to the next one. Are you ready?
Yes.
Next one is emotional trust?
Do we need to?
Yeah, we're gonna
Explain
elaborate.
it.
Yeah, we're gonna elaborate on it. I'm gonna jump on the Facebook group from your phone, and I'm
Okay.
gonna type in. Can you get there? I'm gonna type in. I'm gonna drop them in the chat because my phone's up on a stand. It's a little too challenging. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So I'm going to drop them in the chat, guys, just in case you're coming in late. So the first one is physical trust. And then we're going to talk about emotional trust now. This one's pretty big. Emotional trust. This one's pretty big because with the feminine energy that your wife might have, like that's, and I'm not saying might have, definitely has it. It just might not be coming out. Your wife may have to be, and this is going to apply to some other ones too, more in her masculine, which isn't allowing the emotions to be processed. Like what I think about with our experience with it is, does this person trust me with my emotions? Can I trust my emotions with this person? Are they going to hold space for the emotions? Are they going to help me understand myself? Are they going to work me through it? Are they going to be compassionate? Like, how is it actually, in our Thursday conversations and our trainings, we're going to be going into real depth about how it's broken in each one of these 6 categories and how it's restored. So when I think about emotional trust, that's what I think about is my anger came out and broke potentially physical trust because there was no emotional trust connection there because I didn't feel safe with my own emotions. And I didn't know if I could trust you with my emotions because coming out and being really vulnerable left me so exposed that if you didn't handle it the right way, I was afraid I'd never trust you again. I talked to so many guys that are in this boat. They just don't even know it, that their wives don't have the emotional trust with them. Yet the guys are asking the questions on a surface level and saying, share with me what you're feeling, like I used to do. Yet what's not really present is the depth of actual trust to come out with the information. Does that add up?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Well, we touched on
It's the old hat now. You don't
I
get
know.
to be silent.
I know. I feel like we touched a lot on emotional trust last week too.
Yeah.
So
It's big. That's why we keep
It is.
going through trust. It's massive.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have emotional trust, but I also think that's kind of the first level of trust that what
I thought I heard something. We don't have the cats anymore, so I might, yeah.
I think emotional trust is the first level that like people maybe shy away from, or you don't recognize. Does that does that track? Like, oh, we got mad and he's mad, but you can't put words to that, like, because I know we had that for a little while, like a lack of a long while, a lack of emotional trust that it was constantly getting in the way of
everything.
Yeah.
No movement forward with a breakdown in emotional trust, guys. No movement forward with a breakdown in emotional trust. Your wife could potentially toughen up and carry a can of mace around. I mean, I'm just throwing stuff out there to bring physical trust back online for the most part, because you guys live together. There's a way that she could bring it back online to just kind of survive it. Whereas emotional trust is being compromised at every single moment, literally when you open your mouth or when you don't open your mouth. At every moment, emotional trust is being compromised. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a whole separate training we're going to do when we get to the emotional trust within our trainings and within our mastermind, our free trainings, and then our paid mastermind, that there are so many skills and habits needed to be able to hold or open that kind of space for your spouse to feel emotionally supported and trust you in an emotional way. There's also something that has to be done within us so that we can open up emotional trust. Because if both partners, which most of you right now who either have a stale marriage or marriage is heading downhill, or it's just kind of surface level and you're just kind of roommate situation, or you're just kind of paying bills, or you stay together because you love each other, or you have kids together and you just kind of like, that's it. There's no depth there. And you're basically like the same sides of a magnet. If you think about it, you're the same sides of a magnet, just you can never touch. You can never actually get fully like interlocked with each other. And I'm not talking in a physical way, I'm talking in an emotional way. You put two north ends of a magnet together, they are going to oppose each other. And when your emotional connection with your partner is not there, at every moment they're gauging, it's like a radar is going off. Can I be supported? There's more evidence that I can't be. And that builds massive resentment and regret, massive resentment, because this person doesn't feel like, and you felt this for a long time, I'm not supported. I'm supported in the ways that are convenient to him.
Exactly.
And I'm not being supported. I don't feel heard. It's triggering your traumas from not being heard, felt, seen, valued, whatever, from your childhood, whatever it's doing for your wives, guys, it's triggering. Then you're thinking that the money comes in and solves the problem, or the vacation, or the car, or the long walks you guys take, but you don't talk about a lot of deep stuff. You just kind of talk about surface stuff. This is how marriages go downhill, or that they hit rock bottom and divorce is on the table, or disconnection has happened in such a massive way and you didn't even realize it. That's why we want to illuminate. Remember the formula that we run, right? Our foundational formula is illuminate, eliminate, calibrate equals acceleration. So what we're doing here on these calls and what we're going to do on the Thursday trainings, the free trainings, is we're going to continue to illuminate and help you understand what you might not know you don't know, or maybe illuminate more of what you thought you knew and get a little bit more depth so you can put a strategy together, because this is what we've done to repair and reignite and send our marriage onto a completely different stratosphere, a completely different level than it's ever been. And that's what we're helping here. So are we good on emotional trust?
Yeah.
I know we only have 30 minutes left. I just want to make sure that we're, oh, that's really lagged. Okay. I'm going to put in emotional trust. What's the next one? Which one do you want to pick there?
I think we should go over competence.
Yeah.
Because that needs a lot of explanation.
You think so?
I think so.
Okay. Competence trust. Have you guys ever heard of that? Just be honest. Have you ever heard of competence trust or competency trust? I mean, honestly, I learned this like a year ago. I'd never heard of that. I honestly had never, ever heard of that.
Yeah.
And you think about it and you go, like, when I think about in the past, when I had thought about it, I'd go, we even talked about it on old mental purpose episodes.
Did we?
A couple years ago. We didn't talk about competency trust. We talked about what was competency trust, but I was just saying trust in general.
Oh.
How do you trust that I'm going to do this? How do you trust that I'm going to do this? How do you trust me with your emotional? How do you trust me to let go and to share? How do you trust this? And I was just mixing everything into trust.
Yeah.
And that's why I started researching. I wanted to know, as an obsessive person about detail and vision, I want to know, like, is there a formula that I'm not seeing here that could help me get farther faster, help our clients get farther? So when I learned about it, there were two things, this one and the one we're going to talk about next. So competency trust is this person actually competent to do what they say they're going to do in the very basic sense? And that could be as a husband, Are you competent to actually be a husband? Are you competent enough to handle the emotions? Are you competent enough to protect the family, to raise your children, to hold space for your wife? You see, the reason why we're breaking all these out, and the reason why we're going to do these free trainings is because all of them compound with each other. So competency trust has emotional and physical and some of the other ones in it.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, like, does my wife trust me that I'm competent enough to follow through with what I say I'm going to do? If the answer is no, then you just have another checkbox against you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have any of that issue?
Yeah. And also I couldn't name it as competency. I think I just thought it was unwillingness, you
Yeah.
know, but then when you like,
But now it has a name.
now it has a name. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about it a little bit more. Give the guys an example of how I was showing up, and maybe they can associate. I'm going to put competency trust in here.
Oh, what's a good example? Oh, now I feel put on the spot. I don't know. I think just honestly, like you pushing things off onto me. That was your way of let me explain this a little
Yeah,
differently.
this is going to be helpful for these guys.
Like you not doing something that you didn't think was that big of a deal.
Like what? This is important.
It is important, and it's hard to come up with a really good example for this because it
probably goes with one of the other ones too.
Yeah. I think like it definitely
How about in business? How about as an entrepreneur? Because I was starting our business, right? Like we were married for how long? Not even a year. And I was starting our real estate business. Let's talk about it in terms of that, because I talk to guys who want to get out of their position in a job, corporate. They just don't like what they're doing. And their wife says, I don't think it's a good idea. Let's just, why don't you just stay there for a year and then we can talk about it.
Yeah.
What's coming up there is competence trust. And there may be some other pieces of the 6 in there as well. So talk about that.
I think it kind of goes hand in hand with like reliability, like being able to, and it's like little things like I need you I need you to be here to take the baby tonight.
Yeah. Well, that's a different type of trust. That's a different one. Don't spoil it there.
No, sorry. I mean, but no, it's all like, I think competency really kind of flows into a lot of these other ones too.
Let me take it back to,
okay.
How did you, because I have asked you this question a lot.
Yeah.
You've never doubted me, even though I've had like,
oh yeah. Okay.
We've had massive failures and massive successes in business. How have you ever doubted my competence to be able to build a business, be organized, and produce in a competent way? Have you ever doubted that?
No, I haven't doubted like the authentic you. I have seen you get in your own way.
Yeah.
So when you break it all the way down to competency, no, I've never doubted your ability.
You never had a lack of competence, trust in me.
Yeah. It's a lot of words. You got to get right.
I can tell you where I had competency trust or competence trust in you.
Where's that?
With personal growth. And this is bullshit, by the way. This isn't like real. This is what I made up. Like, I didn't feel like you were going to actually follow through with your own growth and your own personal development. And I felt like I was going to leave you.
Yeah.
And that you wouldn't be competent to like be on my level. Guys, I know this sounds fucked up, and it is. That was my thought process many years ago, was like, she won't be able to handle the level at which I'll be operating at. And I believe that that's competency. Yet what was at play there was so many of the other trust pieces in you. Yet for me, it was, is she actually gonna, can she actually do this? Can she hang at my level?
Yeah.
That was my thought process. And it's fucked up. And I talked to a lot of guys who were like, I'm afraid I'm going to leave my wife behind. I'm on this major personal development kick. And I'm like, cool. How much are you actually applying? Because that's the big difference, right? That's the difference is, are you applying it, or are you just an information addict? You know, in our, if you haven't gotten it yet, by the way, guys, our replaceable man avatars, there's 10 of them. The information addict is one of them, where you're constantly learning, growing, reading books, going to seminars like I was in 2016. Yet nothing's being applied at home. She's not seeing the changes in difference. You're getting pissed off because she's not seeing all the work you're putting in, yet the work you're putting in isn't showing up at home. There's no direct correlation, and you guys are battling. There is competency trust, there's emotional trust, there's all kinds of shit at play there, including the next one. I still want to stay on competence trust. What?
That one's just a complicated one.
It is. And it breaks down to very simple. Is this person competent to handle the tasks that they've either taken on or that they've been given? And like, be honest with that. And I think about it in terms of our business. I have never had competency trust with you as a mom, as a wife, as a caregiver, as a like nothing, except in my own insecurity, and which was really just insecurity of, I don't want to lose you. So therefore you have to come with me. It has to be my way.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, guys, if you're forcing your wife into personal development, if you're forcing her to read the books that you're reading, don't do that.
No.
Empower her with emotional trust that you can hold that space and let her do her own learning. She knows what she needs. She's smart. If she doesn't do it, that's on her, not on you. If she doesn't want to read the 4-hour work week with you, don't make her. It's not a great book anyway. It's got some good tips and tricks, but like with our modern society, I mean, back then it was a freaking mind blower. Today, with VAs and AI, I mean, she doesn't have to read what you're reading. The competency trust there doesn't need to be. That's my big example. The example to you is the business stuff. How did you trust me? How did you have competence trust that I was, I mean, you know how freaked out I was.
Yeah, you were.
We need to get a wider angle lens. I'm going to order one today.
Okay.
Like the day I left the house, my first day in real estate, 2012, scared, shaking, tears in my eyes. How did you have trust to my competency that I could actually do this? Or to build a coaching business, a successful coaching business, or to build out the crazy, amazing exercises that we build out. Like, how do you trust me with that?
You just have an ability, you know, it doesn't come out of nowhere. You know what I mean? You're not like, oh, I'm just going to go build a coaching business.
Yeah.
Where you have never done that before. You've never been in that space. You yourself have never been a coachable person. You know, like, I think that's where you have a track record.
There's like a pattern.
There's a pattern.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So it goes against the pattern too. The pattern can go against break the trust. Yeah.
Right.
So what you're saying is if guys are showing a pattern that they can't be confident.
Okay, it's not like you were like, okay, I'm in real estate. This has been great. But what I actually want to do is I'm going to go be a golf pro down at the country club.
Yeah.
You've played golf, but like, you know, you aren't a golf pro, and you think that like, you're going to go and make tons of money being a golf pro at the country club and get all the, like, that
would break competency.
Yes. Like okay, there's a pattern and a track record for like,
that makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. That definitely makes sense. All right, let's move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Are you good with that one?
I'm good with that one.
Okay. All right, next one, guys. And guys, whoever's here, I don't care if you're listening on the replay or listening live, drop in some comments. They're coming up slow for us. I see Connick's, how do you rebuild trust when it's been broken more than once in the past? That's this next one, Connick. This next one is reliability trust. Write that down, guys. You should be writing all 6 of these down. And if you want, I've got an exercise with a bunch of questions to just to really pinpoint and dig in, and also get some steps forward and some strategy to take action. We can also do that on a strategy call. We will also do that inside of the free trainings on Thursday. Make sure you mark your calendar, 5 p.m. Pacific. So the next one is reliability trust. Is this person actually reliable? Can I count on them to show up when I need them to?
Mm-hmm.
Can I count on them? Can I rely on them to do the things they say they're going to do? Not how they're going to do them, or if they'll get them done. Can I count on them to actually show up?
Mm-hmm.
So this is more about, in my mind, this is more about integrity and commitment and discipline and habits and skills. I mean, maybe competence trust has that in it too.
Yeah.
And the reliability piece is like when we dig into this, like we're going to dig in. When we dig in on our Thursday trainings, reliability trust, I mean, just the fact that I wasn't like, I would say I was going to take the trash out and then not do it.
Mm-hmm.
How much did that affect you? I want guys to know that it is tiny little things in terms of reliability. Can I count on this person to show up? You know, you're an information addict. You're going to all these seminars.
I mean, it's just like we talk about the micro changes in like growth and those, it's like you make this big declaration that it's like the little moments that count. And I think that's also how trust is broken in those little micro moments of like, oh, I said I was going to take the trash out and then I totally forgot and I wasn't up, or then I end up running the trash to the curb as the trash men are pulling up in the morning, and then I'm frazzled about that, or like
sorry, I forgot is not an excuse.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm ADHD and I just don't remember and my mind was on other things. Not an excuse.
Right.
I tried it many times. It's not an excuse. You got to put systems in place. You got to put structure in place. You got to have discipline that's built in order to comprehend or counterbalance or counteract the things, the forces, the brain wiring, the ailments that you think you've been cursed with that are actually a blessing. Like, to be able to counteract those, you got to put systems in place.
Yeah.
So it is those little things. It's those tiny things that really add up. And you go, yeah, well, a lot of guys will say, yeah, well, my wife trusts that I'm going to bring money home and then I'm not going to like cheat on her. Right. Or I'm not going to beat her up. And that's like, okay, well, that should be a given.
Yeah.
That you're not out running around and you're not going to beat your wife up. But like the competence and reliability trust builds and breeds insane amount of resentment, which is fueling the fire, guys. So every morning when your wife gets up, if you forgot the trash the night before and she's running out, not only is her cup starting to overflow because of all the other bullshit you did this week, last month, and last year, or over the last 10 years, but now you just forgot another thing. And so you just broke competency trust, physical trust, because now you're putting your wife out to where she's got to run out and toss the trash cans to the end of the driveway, right? She could get hurt doing that. Maybe they're heavy. Who knows? They got bricks in them. I don't know, whatever. Like
ice on the driveway.
Ice on the driveway, which you've wiped out before. There's a competency trust. There's a reliability trust in there that's been broken. And emotionally, she needs to share with you what she's feeling and experiencing, and she can't. So now we've got 4 pieces of trust that are being broken simultaneously. And in our minds, a lot of us are like, but she can trust me and I'm not running around. And she can trust me that I bring home a paycheck every week. Yet you're not seeing what's actually fueling the fire behind the scenes. And that was this rude awakening to me when I was like, oh my God, there's more types of trust. Holy shit, I've been breaking this one every fucking moment. Reliability. Crazy. right?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
And you know, it's just like the little things. I think reliability is like, yeah, I'll get to it. Yeah. You know, like the little things you have to nag about, and that, you know, we could both be nagging each other about little things, and that's where reliability comes on. It's like,
yeah, well, competency too.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that like having to nag is not fun. Having to remember that you asked something
doesn't equal connection, doesn't equal intimacy, doesn't equal emotional share. It doesn't equal these things. And everything we do is formulaic, right? In our coaching programs, in our curriculum, our retreats, our mastermind, everything is formulaic so that you can't escape that box. You just work within it. And when I hear guys say to me, and I used to say this too, like, man, my wife's constantly nagging me. Can't you just fucking leave me alone and like trust me? You know, we know people like this.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, no, because you've told her and shown her so many times and reinforced it that your reliability, she can't trust your reliability. She can't trust your competence. And you go, yeah, well, big fucking deal. It's the trash cans. Yet to you, if you could also trust me with your emotions and the next one, you would also let me know
the layers. It's like
fucking guys. This is huge. I hope you're getting how big this is and how much this can change your life. You want to reignite your marriage? This is where you start. You start to illuminate and understand where your formula isn't working. Illuminate the dark corners, like you might not have ever thought about competence or reliability, trust. And now you know. Can your wife actually count on you not to show up, not to beat her up, and not to cheat on her? Can she count on you to do what you say you're going to do? If you say, I'm going to show up at 5, you show up at 5, not 5:30 and go, oh, I'm sorry, I was working or it was traffic. You put your systems into play. She should not have to nag you. Your wife's not your mother. You're your own person. If your mom did that, like mine did, then your ass is responsible to develop systems and habits and discipline necessary to run your own fucking life. Like that's the conversation I had with myself. Your responsibility, Ian, is to fucking develop systems here to run your fucking life by yourself. If you don't want your wife and your mom to constantly fucking nag you and remind you of shit you got to do. They're reminding you and nagging you because you can't be trusted in your reliability or your competence to follow through on your commitment. Yes? Yes. That's it. I get very passionate about it because I had these conversations with me. Like, it's not your wife's fault. Your wife's not a bitch. She's not annoying. She's not a nag. She's not any of those things. It's you. You're the fucking problem. Me. I was the fucking problem. I was putting so much shit on you that it was forcing this inauthentic person to come up and out. That wasn't you. My behavior, my inability, my break in commitment, my failure at all 6 areas of trust caused you to become this person that was protected and had to do everything on her own. And by the way, reliability trust is, can I let my masculine energy down as far as you? Can I let my masculine energy down and not run shit and have to run the household and run my job and run this thing and run this motherfucker's life because he's too incompetent and unreliable to run it himself, to be in my feminine? And then can I trust him to hold space for my emotions to share? And if the answer is no, 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 and guys, don't guess that, don't feel that, you need to know that, which means you need to ask your wife, you trust me in these areas? Do I hold space for you? Can you share with me openly and vulnerably? Ask those questions. You should be writing those down. Then your fucking marriage, of course, it's going to be like this. And of course, it's going to be like that eventually if you don't course correct and interrupt the patterns now. So there's no blame on you. It's all on me. What?
Just, that was a very passionate speech.
You know, I'm very passionate about this.
I know.
Oh, these are the things that I thought about. People should be caring for me, taking care of me. I'm the breadwinner. I'm this. Remember, I mean, you went through this.
Oh, I know.
So what? I'm not going to take the trash out. Just fucking have somebody call somebody in. There's our neighbor has their gardener come take the trash out. Just call in the gardener. I'm too busy. I'm too valuable. My time's worth too much. The only thing I was saying to my lovely young wife here was that I am unreliable, incompetent, and not trustworthy.
Well, and you lacked a respect for me as a person.
There's no respect, trust in here. And if it was, I would definitely have failed on that too.
But I mean, it all that I think trust kind of links to
yes.
respect.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought for a minute.
All right, you ready for the next one?
Mm-hmm.
The next one is, why don't you take that one?
Financial.
Communication.
Oh, you already checked it off.
Oh, yeah, well, I was
you
just,
can't
sorry.
pre-check. You can't
I was
pre-check.
pre-checking. So the next one is communication trust.
Communication.
So let's go back for a second and just reiterate the trusts that we have talked about.
Wait, hold on. Your impassioned speech has given us limited time. Let's get through these and then we'll go back and touch. Then we'll.
Okay, communication trust. Go.
Go.
Am I going?
Yeah.
Me?
Yes, it's you. Communication trust is
a couple different things. Can you communicate effectively, or is this more of an emotional break? Communication trust goes into reliability and competence, which is, can I rely on this person to actually communicate what needs to happen, or I need to know, or I need to watch out for? The reliability of this person to actually communicate, which is, you hear some guys say, I just don't share anything. I don't really talk to my wife a lot. We just kind of talk about the kids and our jobs and the house, and that's really it. Like, can your partner trust you to communicate effectively? Can they trust you with your communication skills and your communication habits and the behavior around that? Can you trust them with your communication, right? So this one kind of taps into the emotional as well. Can you communicate your emotions? Can you communicate in a more vulnerable way with your partner? And can you trust them with that communication? So there's a couple different things at play. They all feed into each other, maybe except for the physical piece. But here's the thing. What we were talking about in the physical has communication in it.
They all feed into each other.
Yeah.
I think that, like, yeah, there's no... They stand on their own, and they all kind of intertwine.
Yeah, agreed. What are your thoughts about communication? Because like we talked about before, my communication style was anger and rage and really inappropriate or like nasty thoughts, because that's how scared I was and fearful and fear-based inside. That was coming out. That anger was coming out.
Yeah. I mean, trusting communication is like being able to sit down and not be fearful of an important conversation, not be fearful of
Great point.
a like menial conversation. You know, like I remember there were times when you kept at the beginning of your journey, when you were just information gathering, you liked to regurgitate a lot of that. And so even just like basic conversations lacked trust, because I couldn't just have like oh, hey, I ran into this person at the grocery store and because that's not high level enough conversation for us to be having. And what about this? And what, like,
I was scared. I was scared of that. I was scared of the low level dragging me in.
Yeah. And I mean, but here's the thing, like, communication, like, we should be able to talk about anything and everything.
Agreed.
And whether it's,
But by the way, I have always had a direct and very open communication channel with you. And so if anybody ever asked us, how's your communication? I would have been like, it's great. We can talk about anything, which meant I could monologue about anything and you would just sit there. I want to be very clear on that. I'm calling myself out on a lot of shit because I want you guys to know you're not alone.
Yeah, you're right. You did monologue.
Right. So
Sometimes even now you do, because you just need to talk things out.
that's my
But there's a
style.
difference
Yeah.
between what your monologue used to be and what it is now. Like I know, like when you're just
Yeah.
talking because you need to like work things out, but your monologue used to be very like nasty.
Dictator-esque.
Yes.
Yeah, it's that was the challenge. Is our communication was great as long as it was monologue from me to you.
Mm-hmm.
Our dialogue communication was not that great because you didn't trust being able to communicate with me past a certain level. Guys, pay attention to that. You didn't trust being able to communicate with me past a certain level, which means from here to here, you could trust me.
Mm-hmm.
And beyond that, with your emotions, feelings, thoughts, vulnerability, you couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 5 for 5 that I broke.
This was not meant to keep score.
No, I just want guys to know, like, we're not sitting here preaching this like we're higher than thou or holier than thou. Like, we've gone through this. I'm telling you from my perspective as an irreplaceable man today, an irreplaceable husband with a great relationship, that I've failed so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And subsequently built all of our curriculum and our exercises and our mastermind and our courses because of the failures that I experienced, and, dialed into my purpose and my passion in life to help other men.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else on communication?
No.
Okay.
I mean, maybe we do one episode of just communication.
Well, we're gonna
And
start breaking these things down in more detail. And again, guys, on this Thursday, you'll see the event come out. I'll tag all of you in it. We're gonna be breaking down the 6, and then throughout a 12-week period, we are going to be diving in deeper and deeper and doing Q&As and group coaching and like, not group coaching, like group sessions and group conversations, and understanding challenges and helping each other out, move and navigate through these different types of trust so that we can have a right formula or a serving formula that works for us and gets us the results we want. All right, last one.
Mm-hmm. Financial.
So that's pretty obvious. I think a lot of guys think, well, my wife trusts me not to steal the money. My wife trusts me not to have a separate bank account that I'm, hoarding money in, and I'm taking trips to Tijuana and, I don't know, buying prescription pill, whatever it might be.
Financial trust is like, I think I'm not going out and spending a ton of money on designer bags and shopping all the time. Yeah. I think we kind of had pretty early on,
I think it's always been there.
We had
we didn't fail at that one.
No, but we always had discussions over like a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
We always talked about it.
That was my insecurity though. So I got to be real on that.
Why was it your insecurity?
Well, my insecurity was that I trusted you because you never broke the trust. Mm-hmm. Right. And I trusted you to not go out and just like blow all of our money, because remember, what money was to me as an identity was my significance. Mm-hmm. I always have had a financial trust with you. It's never been broken. And it's because you don't go out and do stuff like that, because we've always had this open communication about what we're going to spend money on or invest in, that kind of thing. No, I've broken yours by like buying real estate and calling you and going, hey, I need $50,000, or, things like that. Or you
need to show up at the title company at 3 p.m. to sign. And I was like, wait, what?
Or like the failures that we've had in business, like the money that we've cost. We had a partner steal a bunch of money. We've had deals go bad. We've had lots of success. And, I don't believe that our financial trust had ever been broken.
No, I think
even when I failed at things, right? Like even like leaving real estate and starting in coaching, you always have trusted me to provide the financial aspect to the family. Mm-hmm.
And I think that financial discussion is crucial in long-term relationships, partnerships. Because again, that's something else that like we aren't taught about.
Yeah. Keep going. I'm going
You
to
know, how to be in a partnership and function financially. You know, like when you merge households, are you know, keeping separate bank accounts? How are you handling all of that? I think it's kind of no one talks about it as much as I think we should.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of scary because if one partner is making more than the other partner,
maybe now, maybe people who are getting married now or getting into longer term relationships, partnerships are talking about it more now. I know we didn't really have.
No, we didn't have any money when we got married.
Well, I know, but
we also started off on I think that might have been a non-serving foundation.
What do you mean?
Even though we didn't have any money, like I was experiencing financial challenges with my dad's business at the time, and you had a job.
I had a job. I mean, I had a salary, but it wasn't like
no, but
it couldn't sustain both of us.
Right. Maybe that's the advice that we have is if we could go back, maybe we should have just mapped out the basics like groceries and gas and things like that of our household, cable and electric and that and our mortgage. Maybe that would have built a better, more stable foundation. Who knows? We still did fine. If I could go back, I probably would do that over again.
Yeah, we'd have a different discussion about it.
Okay. So what do you think about what do you think of
it's lagging?
I'm just trying to catch up there. I think the financial piece is either partner gonna, like, I think about Sal the stockbroker on Howard Stern, and he talks about the fact that his wife, to compensate for the lack in their relationship, wants nice things: a Range Rover, the Louis Vuitton purse, the Manolo Blahnik shoes, the designer dresses and stuff. I think that is where financial trust can be really broken, because you're also not able to communicate. And we see that around here, like,
well, and it's
as long as my wife's happy, because as long as I'm making money, I can keep my wife happy because she'll keep buying stuff.
Well, the happy wife, happy life thing is kind of
bullshit.
That's what, I'll just buy my wife something, she'll be happy. But I also think that in the financial trust too, you are also like, if one person is going out spending a ton of money, what are you trying to compensate for?
Right. And then the communication trust comes back, and the competence trust and the emotional trust comes back. And like, there's all kinds of stuff there. Maybe they're feeling very unsafe at home or unsupported physically by you, and they're going out and overcompensating. This thing compounds hard.
Yeah.
And there's also a plug to it that you can pull, and it's like a ripcord. You can stop this train from running, because the inevitable is a stale, boring, bullshit, non-enviable marriage where you're making TV dinners and you're sitting in separate lounge chairs to watch Jeopardy at night with each other, and then you're going in separate bedrooms. Like, who wants to do that? Look, if that's your idea of a marriage, live it. You're probably not here for that. If that's not your idea of a marriage and you see that that's where it's going to, then you must step in at this point. You must step in. If you need more help, we got you. We've got programs and systems and structure and support, strategy to help you turn this thing now, reignite that flame, and get this marriage to the place that you want it to be, right? The one that both of you deserve, and the one that you actually want to be in, not just by obligation, really by choice. Like, I want to be in this marriage. I remember a fire pit camping trip I was on with a couple guys. I'm not gonna say any names, don't worry.
When was that?
Years ago. And there was like 10 guys there, and every guy around this fire pit were drinking, having fun, smoking. Like, every guy went around this fire pit trashing their wives. This was like, you remember the story?
Yeah.
And it got to me, I was the last one, and I was like, I don't, sorry guys, like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not in your same position. And they're like, why not, man? Meredith definitely has to piss you off. I'm like, yeah. And I definitely piss her off. And that's not something that I heard from any of you. So like, I know this is a two-way street, and we also talk about it. So I thought about that as like a cross section of society, and how many men, it's like the story we were reading to the kids last night. This is from Jack Canfield's book. I read these little success stories from
business books before bedtime.
Yeah, just success principles from Jack Canfield. The kids like them. And we were talking about it. And in terms of communication, you have to open that line up. And yeah, it might be awkward at first and it might suck at first. You got to rip the Band-Aid off and just open that line up of communication to stop the bleed.
So I'd also like to go back to like this group of guys bitching about their wives. I think that is like, women do it too.
Of course.
Like, sit around and complain about their husbands and look what this idiot did. And like, I can't, and it becomes this, he's not reliable. I can't like trust him to do their, and it and we do that, and it doesn't provide anything for our marriage, our relationships, for us individually to then create better foundations in our relationship. If you're like out with all these other people complaining, but yet you won't.
Yeah. You have to put the work in
with your spouse and say, hey,
the effort to complain is just as much as it is to do the work, except complaining is not as awkward.
Right. Well, and it becomes fun because you're like,
yeah. And
you're like sitting around having some drinks and you're like, listen to what my wife did, or listen to what my husband did.
That's the only thing that a lot of people have in common with these friends is just to complain. And that's we have an exercise called the 10 domains. Inside of that is your inner circle, and analyzing your inner circle and the people that you spend the most time with, energy and attention on. And your group probably has to change as you evolve. Your group's going to have to be evolved, because you're not going to want to have those kind of conversations like I did. I sat in this group of guys and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to really be hanging with this group of guys anymore, because all they did was just trash their wives the whole time. Yet not one of them said, this is what I'm willing to do to make these changes. And not one of them said, I want to get divorced. And not one of them said, I'm happily married. So they all just were okay sitting in this middle shit zone. I just wasn't okay with it. Mm-hmm. By the way, another thing on physical trust in terms of sex and intimacy is, can I trust my partner that they're going to be able to hold me, not physically, but maybe physically and like emotionally, and let go of whatever I'm holding on to, and like be free sexually or physically, or, foreplay wise, or like sex wise, whatever it might be. Like, can I trust my partner to physically support me in what I need? And can I actually communicate what I need? It's the fastest way to infidelity, is if you are not clear and open about the things that you want in an intimate, sexual, what other manner, I guess. I don't know what other word to say there. Then somebody's going to find somebody that will fulfill, that they can talk to about it. And it's a very easy in there, and it's hard to get back from that. And you're going to break all of those things, right? Emotional, reliable, confidence, communication, physical, maybe not financial. You're going to break 5 of those, or you're going to hit 5 of them. You're going to hit 5 of them. So I think at this point, we will wrap this up, and we got a podcast. I have another podcast to do. How do you feel about this? Good. What was one of your biggest takeaways?
How layered trust really is.
Yeah, me too.
Like you can say, oh, we have great emotional trust, but like then there's another layer to that, and another layer, and another layer, and another layer. And so it's really, you constantly have to be working on all these different areas. You can't just like, oh, I trust my spouse or my partner.
Yeah, don't be blind to it. And guys, if you want an action item after this, go take all 6 areas: emotional, reliability, competence, communication, physical, and financial trust, and go run those with your spouse, and just fucking bite the bullet. Just pull the Band-Aid off and go ask, because the more you know, the more powerful you can be to make change. Or you'll know, just I'm out. Like I'm done. This thing is not savable. At least you'll be clear and not emotional about it. You'll have emotions with that, and you'll have clarity.
Mhm.
So take these 6 areas of trust and go to your spouse and say, hey, I want to go over these. I want to know if I have these with you, and do you have these with me? If they say no, it's the place that you can start. At least you now have a benchmark, a foundation to build. Cool. And if you want more information on these, like Meredith and I are going to be digging into them every single week. Our content's going to get tighter and tighter and tighter on the foundational aspects and the tools and tricks you can use to reignite your marriage and become not only an irreplaceable husband, an irreplaceable couple, a model for your community and your children. And we're going to be breaking these down over a 12-week period in our free trainings on Thursdays, right here inside this group. It'll be a Zoom link still right here inside this group. Only members of the group can access right now. And we hope to see you there. And if you need something, if you need help, if this was like, oh man, my fucking mind's blown, I need more help, Ian, hit me up. I'll drop the link in the show notes for the podcast. I'll drop it in the YouTube channel, and I'll drop it in here. If you need to book a strategy call, you want more help, you need support, you need structure, you need a strategy, we got you. Okay, cool. Everybody listening on the podcast, make sure you go to irreplacableman.com, grab our free 12-step guide to becoming an irreplaceable husband. We love you. We appreciate you being here and supporting us as we transition and evolve this thing into what it is truly meant to be, which is what it is today. All right. Thanks for being here. We'll catch you on the next one.